Yes, yes. Hold on, let's get this thing going. Why is it not working? Okay, ready? We're cool, we're good. Okay, halakha for today. Have a nice day. Halakha for today, we are in Yechave Daat. We are in book 3 and Siman 68. Question for today is, Hayin mutar lehazmin lemisibat hatan v'chalak kosem. Am I allowed to invite a magician to a party for a bride and a groom? Shayedeh zilizut v'kalut tinuotav nireh ke'oseh ma'aseh lehatim hamafni'im et ro'ehem. Because of his fast hands and his quick ability, he's able to make tricks as if he's doing magic. Swift of hand, right? Is that what they call it? Swiftness of hand. I think a sleight of hand. כדי לבדר ולשעשע את החתן והכלה והקרואים ולשמחם, או אפשר שזהו בכלל כשפים שעשתה התורה. The purpose we want to invite this magician, we know it's not real magic, it's just tricks. And we want to make everyone happy, and magicians make people happy. And so we want to know, are we allowed to invite a magician? Or are today's magicians who are not doing real magic, they're just doing sleight of hand, are they under the umbrella of forbidden sorcery in the Torah, which is a death penalty? We don't have no sorcery in the Torah, no real magic in the Torah. And so the question is, sleight of hand magicians, are they included in this category, that it's forbidden, or are they allowed? And the answer is, he brings the Gemara Sanhedrin, page 65. The pasuk says, you cannot have amongst you all these different type of magicians, people who talk to the bones, people who talk, I forget the word for the necromancy or something, that's what they call it. People who talk to the bones, people who talk to dead people, people who do all these things. The Torah says it's forbidden. The Gemara says, what's called me'onen, which is forbidden? Someone who grabs your eyes. This is what the Gemara says. Someone who grabs your eyes is in the category of forbidden magic. What does it mean, grab your eyes? Rashi says, he grabs and closes the eyes of people. He makes it that they think he's doing amazing things. This is what Rashi says. And this is what Rashi says is forbidden from the Torah. Someone who makes people think they're doing crazy magic. But he's really doing nothing. He's really doing not magic. It's just tricks. And so Rashi says very clear, that's a bad start. Rashi says right away, if you do swiftness of hand, sleight of hand tricks, you are me'onen. It's forbidden from the Torah. The Gemara says, Amar Abaye. Abaye says, halachot keshafim ki halachot Shabbat. The laws of magic is just like the laws of Shabbat, that there are levels. Yesh me'en b'sikila. Just like on Shabbat, there are certain things God forbid, is sikila, stoning, God forbid, and so too with sorcery. But yesh me'en patur bal asur. Some types of things on Shabbat, there's no stoning for them, no sikila, but it's asur. You can't do it. But if you did it, all right, you're not going to get punished. And the same thing applies to magic. There are certain times of magic that if you do it, you shouldn't, or you don't get stoned. Mutar lechatechila, and there are some things that are allowed, preferably even, no problem, just like on Shabbat. And what is allowed with no problem? The Gemara says, like these two rabbis, Rabbi Hanina and Rabbi Oshaya. Every Friday they would learn Sefer Yetzirah. Sefer Yetzirah is one of the oldest Kabbalistic books we have, right? It's a question who wrote it. Some people say Avraham Avinu. It's one of the oldest books. It's very, very deep and mysterious. And they say there's magic, there's kosher magic buried inside Sefer Yetzirah. And so the Gemara says, Rabbi Hanina and Rabbi Oshaya would read Sefer Yetzirah every Friday. And they would create caps. What's the delicious veal? They would create veal with Sefer Yetzirah magic, but kosher magic, Kabbalistic magic, and they would eat it on Friday. This is Gemara says. Gemara Sanhedrin 67. You can look it up. Gemara talks about rabbis who created people, golems. It's a whole situation which I don't want to get into this part, but that would be the kosher type if you're using Kabbalah. But the other parts, not allowed. The Gemara says over there, someone who grabs your eyes, kegon, abiv shel karna, like the father of karna. I spoke about karna in the ladies' class. Esther, and I think you were there also a few months ago. I think. Remember, I told you the story of the guy in the boat who had to use the bathroom and he was sick. When he came to shore, he cursed him that a horn should grow from his eyes. Remember this one? Yeah, rings a bell. Karna, that was his name. Karna. So for the men, there was Rav and Shmuel in the Gemara. There's two people. They always talk to each other. Rav and Shmuel. They were friends. They were scholars, and they argued on everything. Rav and Shmuel. And so the Gemara says a story of how they met. Uncle Jack, you remember the story? How they met? Rav was on the boat. Shmuel, yeah. Remember that? You were there. Okay, so Rav was on the boat, and Shmuel was on the shore, sitting with Karna, who was another rabbi. Karna was his name. Karna means a horn, literally. And Shmuel sees the waves splashing up high on the boat. And so Shmuel tells Karna, remember this? Shmuel tells Karna, why is Hashem sending waves splashing so high in the boat? Must be there's a person there who has a stomach problem. He keeps going to the bathroom and vomiting, and Hashem is sending the waves to block him so no one can see him. And so he sent Karna, he said, go to the boat. I'm telling you, there's a special guy in the boat. Special. Go check who's there. And when you find him, ask him questions and test him to see if he's really as good as I think he is. This is a story. We'll say it quick. It's not the point. But so Karna goes on the boat and he meets Rav. This is Rav and Shmuel would end up being best buddies. But this is the encounter, the origin story. And so Karna goes on the boat and sees Rav, and he starts asking Rav all types of silly questions. He's trying to test his knowledge. And Rav is suffering from a stomachache. He's like, this guy's a pest. He's leaving me alone. So he cursed him. He cursed him that a horn should grow from your eye, and a horn grew from his eye. Some people say it was a cataract. Vinishai says it was a cataract in his eye. Long story. Then there were other things involved. So Karna, funny enough, ironically, Karna's father was a magician, as the Gemara says. Karna's father did tricks. And so what was the trick he did? Abiv shel Karna, the father of Karna, he would blow his nose or sneeze his nose very strong, and he would make silk cloth come out of his nose as if he sneezed it out of his nose. This was his magic trick. This is one trick. That's what it says he used to do. And the Gemara says that's not allowed. You can't do achizat einayim. The Gemara continues. Rabbi tells Rabbi Chiya, Ra'iti Ishmaeli. I saw an Arab. Shinatal Herev. He took a sword. V'hatach gamal le'ebanim, and he sliced up a camel into limbs, into separate limbs. V'shuv kashkash lo b'pa'amon, and then he beat a drum. V'amad alagav, and all of a sudden the camel came alive. So the Gemara says he saw a story. Lord, you want to press the button for the person? My daughter has it. Amar lo, Rabbi Chiya, so he says it was magic. So Rabbi Chiya tells him, the Gemara is continuing, Sanhedrin 67. Rabbi Chiya says, Kilum ra'ita dam u'peresh al-gamal. Did you see the blood? You saw the blood all over the floor of the camel? No, I didn't see the blood. And if you didn't see the blood, it's just a trick. It's a achizat einayim. It's not real magic. He grabbed your eyes. Sleight of hand. The Rambam writes, Me'onin, this category of magician that's forbidden from the Torah, someone who grabs your eyes, by swift hands and sleight hands, he makes believe he's doing amazing tricks, but he's really not. Rambam says this. Like we see, Rambam says, they take a rope and they put it in the cuff or the corner of their garments, and out comes a snake. This is the trick they did in Egypt. Not allowed, Rambam. Illusionist. Basic tricks, yes. You're a basic magician. Rambam says, Or we have a guy, you see the tricks in Egypt are pretty current actually, in Rambam's time. If a guy throws a ring into the air, and all of a sudden he takes it out of one of the guy's mouths that's standing in the crowd. Rambam says in Egypt they did this trick. Vegas has got to modernize their tricks. Rambam says this is a type of forbidden sorcery. The Hayab Malkut, a magician who does this has to get lashes. And on top of that, he's stealing he's tricking people, which would be a gonev daat, which might be another avon he's doing. Rambam, very critical of magicians, illusionists, sleight of hand tricksters. Okay? The Bayit Hadash writes, לדייק מדברי הרמב"ם מחיבורו, שהאוחז את העיניים שלא על ידי כישוף. Someone who tricks people by swiftness of sleight of hand, and he grabs their eyes, אוחז עיניים, without real magic, אלא על ידי זריזות וקלות התנועה בידיו, because he's so fast with his hands, לוקה מן התורה, he will get lashes from the Torah if we had bad deeds. As the Bayit Hadash writes. You cannot do magic. Here's another trick they did in the Bayit Hadash's time. He says, for example, the trick that we see in our times, there's a field that's full of cashews. All of a sudden, he goes like this, and we don't see any more cashews. They're all gone. And so this is a trick, slightness of hand. But the truth is the cashews are still there. We just don't see it anymore. He says that will not be lashes. The Bayit Hadash says this will not be lashes. Why will not be lashes? Not because it's allowed, because it's too horrible to get lashes. Sometimes you could do an avon, God forbid, that's such a bad avon, you don't get to get off the hook with lashes. God forbid, not you, someone. Someone does something that's hayav mitah, God forbid. Someone breaks Shabbat, someone does something hayam mitah, not always the person can get malkut and get the atonement with the lashes. No, sorry, you're too bad for lashes. And so he says, therefore, I won't give the guy lashes because he did actual sorcery from the Torah, which is hayab sikila. This is the Bayit Hadash writes. Okay. The Rama writes, someone who does magic tricks with slightness of hand, but not real magic, he will get lashes. But if he does actual magic, if someone can do actual magic, he violated the worst thing, which is sikila, and he doesn't get lashes.
What do you think is the basis for prohibition?
So,
people training themselves.
Right. So the easiest answer is the Torah says, Pasuk, Gizat HaKatuv, Hashem says, Lo yevecha mechashifa. You cannot have. I mean, you can ask the same question. It could be your hawk. I'm not necessarily. Is this a mishpat? What I'm saying. It could be your hawk. It could be just like milk and meat. The Shan is. Or maybe you can go deeper and say that Hashem says He doesn't want us to think other people have power besides for Hashem, only the true power. I'm not sure if it's a hawk or if it's a mishpat. Okay.
Maybe related with like you just said.
Yeah, he wants to know why. Why a magician? Why can't you have a magician?
But I thought that in the time that they have actual powers.
Yeah, but in the Torah it forbids it.
The actual powers.
Yeah, the actual powers, yeah.
But this is not actual powers.
So that's why they're saying, some people say swift hand, slightness of hand is the worst category, just like actual powers, which would be sikila. And the others are saying, no, it's a second category, which is malkut. Still not allowed. This is going to be a popular halakha. Okay? From all this we have explained, someone who does slightness of hands and grabs your eyes without actual magic, it is forbidden from the Torah. All the tricks. However, the Radbaz writes in Sefer Misudat David, he disagrees with the Rambam, and he writes, He says it can't be the Torah will give lashes to someone who's just doing a slightness of hand magic trick. He says someone who's grabbing your eyes, he defines grabbing your eyes as using demons, using real demons, angels, bad angels, to blind people's eyes. So the Radbaz would be the one arguing on the Rambam, and all the people we mentioned, so the Radbaz would say slightness of hand tricks would be kosher. Ulam, however, בספר החינוך כתב גם כן כדברי הרמב"ם. The Sefer HaChinuch agrees with the Rambam, and also agrees with him, Rabbeinu Yehoshua HaNagid, and also the Sefer Bet Lechem Yehuda, and also Hagaon Rabbi Ovadia Avdallah Somech, who was the Rebbe of the Ben Ish Chai and the brother-in-law of the Ben Ish Chai. All agree with the Rambam that it would be forbidden to do magic tricks. Ulfi zeh, according to this, nid'eh, she'asur la'asot ken gam l'simchat hatan v'chala. Now that we established that doing magic tricks by slightness of hand is forbidden from the Torah, you can't break this rule just because you want to make a bride and a groom happy. That's not an excuse. The Torah doesn't allow you to break its laws just because you want to make a bride and a groom happy or to celebrate Purim, he says. Just because you want to have a fun Purim, it doesn't mean you're allowed to break the laws of the Torah to celebrate Purim. Like the Rambam writes, what does the Rambam write? בדבר מה שיש נוהגים שהכלה סונפת מסנפת בראשה ולוקחת בידה סייף ויוצאת במחול לפני המזומנים. The Rambam says in Egypt they had a custom that the bride would wear a man's hat, take a man's sword, and dance amongst the dancers at her wedding. The Rambam writes, it cannot be just because she's a bride who she's allowed to wear a man's clothing, which is transgressing a mitzvah from the Torah. There is no excuse, says the Rambam. Just because you want to have some fun on your wedding, or on Purim, you want to dress like a woman, or a woman dress like a man, he says you can't do it. Shneimar Pasuk says, this is a popular halakha today, huh? A woman cannot wear a man's clothing, and vice versa. And even though they did this in Egypt, like we said, they had a custom to have some fun dressing up like the other gender. Rambam says, I got rid of this custom to do it. He said, we erased any memory of this custom. He got rid of it, Rambam. Ad kan, those are the ends of his words. Just like this, writes Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz in Sefer Yerushalayim, this forbidden, this avera, the avon of cross-dressing, let's call it, of wearing the other gender's clothing, it's even if you do it temporarily, as a joke, Sefer Yerushalayim writes. And he writes, I was required to explain this because I see a lot of people at wedding parties. The men, they wear women's clothing to dance for the bride and the groom. And so I stand here and I say, Sefer Yerushalayim says it's not allowed. It's 100% forbidden, he says. The pasuk never said you can't wear a woman's clothing unless it's a joke temporarily. It doesn't say that. You can't wear a woman's clothing. Halas, you can't do it. Also says Rabbi Pinto, he says, in his place at the weddings, like a same custom that the men, they wore women's clothing to the dancing. And he writes, Rabbi Pinto writes, even though it's a question, cross-dressing temporarily, is it forbidden from the Torah or is it forbidden from the rabbis? ולא דיבר הכתוב אלא באיש הלבש בגדי אישה והולך ויושב בין אנשים. מכל מקום, כיוון שלכל הדעות יש בזה איסור, it doesn't matter if it's from the Torah or from the rabbis, it's forbidden. צריך להוכיחם ולבטל המנהג הזה. He says you have to tell the people they cannot do this. This is what Rabbi Pinto writes. ואין מקום לקיים המנהג בטעם מצוות שמחת חתן וכלה. So there is no, Chambodya writes, there is no reason to temporarily allow the magician to do his magic tricks just because you want to make a bride and a groom happy. We were not commanded to make a bride and a groom happy with forbidden things. Only kosher things. Okay. The Abayit Hadash, the Bach writes, he brings Masha Sided Maharim Mitz Lehakel Besimchat Purim Shegever Lobesh Samat Isha. The Abayit Hadash brings from Rabbi Mintz that he says it's okay on Purim for a man to wear a woman's clothes as a costume. They're only trying to have fun. And he writes, there's no doubt. He for sure didn't see the other sefarim that we read. That's what he says. It's impossible. He would say it's kosher if he read the other sefarim that we read. And he says all the rabbis that wrote about against the wedding ceremony practices, they would say the same thing for Purim. The Cheneskim so agrees. Marana Hida, the Hida agrees, and also the Knesset HaGedolah, Rabbi Shemuel Abuha B'Sefer Zichronot, Hagaon Rabbi David Pardo, also agrees Rabbi Chaim Palaji, also agrees Moshe Chaim, Sheyesh Lebatel Menhag Hara, Shenoagim Sheish Lebesh B'Tei Isha. You should tell people not to dress like women, and not that women should dress like men for any weddings. Also agrees the Sefer Yad HaKetana, and he writes, He'erich he writes, if you have a magician at a wedding, or ber alisu Torah, you have transgressed a forbidden transgression from the Torah. We should wonder me'od, a lot, that some places have this custom, that they hire a magician for the wedding. And no one utters a peep. How could it be, he says? It's possible, he writes, Shegam al haroim yesh kesat isur bedabar. Even if you're in the crowd watching the magician, it's possible you also violated the Torah. Like the Rambam writes, if you sit before someone who claims to talk to the dead, or someone who's a fortune teller, and you sit there and attend and use their services, Rambam says, Makinoto makat mardut. You have to get lashes as well, Rambam writes. Someone, not you. Why? Because you are joining, you're a party of the nonsense. The Sefer Bet Yosef Hadash agrees, and also the Hafmat Adam, and also he writes, V'lachem, therefore, Habad Hanim, clowns, yeah? What Hanim are clowns? What are they? Jokers? Sheosim ahizat enayim, that they do magic tricks, slightness of hand, behatunot in weddings, ovrim al lo ta'aseh min Torah. They are violating every single time of a mitzvah from the Torah. Shneimar lo te'onenu, ve'amitzaveh alehem la'asot ken. The people who hired them and told the magicians to come and perform, oved al lifnei ived lo titen mikshol. They are transgressing on, don't put a stumbling block before a blind person. They are causing another person to make an avon. Someone who has the power to protest. Someone who has the power to protest and say we shouldn't hire the magicians, should protest and do that. For sure, you cannot look at the magician's tricks. Because then you're helping the person who's doing a sin. And this is the halakha also in Darchet Teshuvah. And this is the end of the halakha. There is no other side he brings. This is the end. He's very strong. Besikum, in summary, he writes, Ahizat ayinayim, grabbing the eyes, Afilu al yedei kalut hatenuah v'zirizut, even by having quick hands. Ve'en sham kishuv kilal, and there's no actual magic. Asura min haTorah is forbidden from the Torah. Ve'asur la'asot ken, you cannot have a magician. Gam b'simchat hatan v'chala, even for a party of hatan and kala and purim. And he says there are no exceptions. This is the end of the halakha. Hacham Ovadia Yosef is very, very strong against hiring magicians. Now we see Jewish institutions, they hire magicians all the time, right? How do they do it? I don't know. This class is yechave daat. This is Hacham Ovadia. And so I'm not trying to put down on people who do this. I have in my head an idea. I'm not a posek, but maybe they do it for kids. Kids are minors. They're not hayav in the Torah. I don't know. I personally love watching magic tricks, but I try my best not to. If it's a person doing tricks, I try to leave, not attend. I follow Hacham Ovadia. And so this one is another one like last week that people love. Hacham Ovadia, no magic tricks. According to Hacham Ovadia, no magicians. With that, enjoy the rest of your day, huh?
I'm reading and it says, the most refined